So, Michael, as we've seen over the years working with professional services organization, there's definitely a staircase that companies in the professional services space are going up as their business evolves. And so during that process, when you're a $1 million company versus a $20 million versus a $100 million company, the amount of information you need to run your business is always evolving. And the ability to get that information is changing. So an example is when you're a professional services company and you're starting out, you're recognizing revenue just based off an invoice, right? But then if you want to start getting to a project profitability, you start running into a challenge that revenue is creating mountains and valleys because it's not aligned with your labor costs that are aligned with that project. So in that particular case, you need to move to a revenue recognition component. And so this is an example of a step in that staircase. And I know when we've worked with Envoy over the years, we've basically moved, I see that we're at a level 4, ultimately now getting ready to move all the way to the end state. So tell me a little bit about some of the challenges that you ran into as you're walking up the staircase, and what we're doing together to move us up to that level 7.
Absolutely. So making that switch, or that's climbing that staircase from a 4 to a 5, I think is one of the larger steps of the staircase. And it's really taking the system from a manual tool to a connected, automated tool. Now, look, I'm going to be the first one to say the systems and tools aren't a silver bullet. There still has to be processes in place. But if you have a good tool and system, if you have a best-in-class system and tool in place, it makes life easier. So what we've done is we've upgraded the accounting system. We are drastically improving our PSA system at the moment. And we are implementing tools and systems that surround, those two main functionalities or tools of the process. We are currently, as Jim mentioned, at a level 4. And I think the biggest climb up the stairs is moving from a level 4 to a level 5. Ultimately, we want to end at a level 6. But right now, we are in the process of making that climb up to a connected systems level 5. And how I interpret that is we are moving away from the manual tools, the manual process, and really connecting our tools, speaking the same language, getting all of the right resources and players that are involved in a project's life cycle and getting them into one process flow. We're eliminating any choppiness. We are eliminating any any gray areas. And when you move into a connective system, specifically here at Envoy, it required an upgrade in our accounting system. It required an upgrade at the PSA tool, and then on the tail end, an introduction to a new tool, which is our planning tool. So, in getting those pieces involved and communicating and aligned is really it's really going to help us bridge the gap of the journey mentioned earlier in the business cycle, and then allowing us to move into a level 6.
And Michael, I think one of the things that's going to make it easier as we move to that, and as you said, getting to that connected systems and actually having a system where work being done is being passed and fed one of the other systems downstream. So, for example, when you're putting a budget in your PSA tool, that's flowing into the accounting system and then into your budgeting and planning system, that you can then forecast that out, right? And see how that works. And then as that process and that continual business cycle goes, that you're able to update that as the budget's being adjusted and being changed and things like that. And so I think one of the items that we spent some time on is understanding what needs to be passed from system to system, how that data needs to be stored, and then working with the software providers to ultimately make sure that process and that information flow is happening, right? Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely. It was crucial that we were aligned on that initiative, not only in finance and accounting operations, but working with you, Jim, we had to make sure that we were in alignment with the goals and the tools speaking to one another. Yeah.
And then I think once we get that information flowing, we got to understand how we're going to plan. What's the drivers of that plan, and making sure that that's aligned. So we did spend a lot of time, but the benefit of that time that we've done together from a planning standpoint for both the informational flow, the output, the planning approach will ultimately allow us to move very quickly through these next steps as you move up, right? And now that you've got standard tools in place, the modification or the quick adjustments to those systems to tweak and fine tune that output and that planning capability should move us very quickly.